Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome everyone to episode 56 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise, the official Hoosier State Instigators podcast. And this week we'll cover kind of a recap of what we've had going on this off season and take a look into some of the stuff we've got coming up here in the future. Only a couple of months left now until we get into our second ABA season. So let's get started on that. Again, a recap of what we've been doing through this off season and take a look at some of the things we got coming up. So we were part of the IBL Gold Cup in June. We played every Saturday. We had 2 games, and we wrapped up in July with the Super Cup Championship. That's the graphic you see here. So right there, that was the championship game between the Instigators and BBB. BBB was one of the only teams that defeated the Instigators in the regular season for that IBL Gold Cup. The other team being the Woodpeckers, who finished the Gold Cup regular season undefeated. There was a bracket. All those Gold Cup teams got to play in with a high enough ranking, and the team that wound up winning that bracket was BBB, and they progressed onto the Super Cup Championship. The Instigators had a clear path to that championship, being the only professional team, and that led to this matchup here, a 21-point victory for the Instigators against BBB. So throughout the Super Cup, though, and the Gold Cup, we got an extended look at several players for the Instigators, and we have continued to grow the team chemistry through the Gold Cup and Super Cup. And again, this is just an added bonus that we had throughout this off season. Definitely something we would love to do again next season, or next off season for the ABA season, but next season for the ABO Gold Cup. And continue to get extended looks at players, give us insight as far as how the team's going to mesh. And obviously the more reps, the more practice time, the more time we have players on the court together, the better that the team is going to continue to grow. So again, a 21-point margin of victory for the Instigators in that Super Cup. And that marks the first championship to add to the Instigators team name. So hopefully that is the first of many. And there's a little championship belt that went with that. So we've got our first trophy, and hopefully we can start making a trophy case now. We got a little picture there. I know we've shown this stuff in the past, but again, I'm going through a recap here for the off season. Take a look at some of the stuff we've got coming up, going into our next season with the ABA. But you see there, got some of our guys that were returning from season 1, like Chuck, Mike, JoJo. We had some guys play throughout the Gold Cup as well. AB, Dylan showed up as well, and Joe, he was there for most of those games. And then we got some of our new guys there that either have signed for the team and we've officially announced, or guys that got the extended looks with the team throughout that Gold Cup. Guys like Kevin Cameron, aka Stunna Boy, Rico Spikes, you got Jackson Stone, you had Lance as well, and Tyree. So we've had a few guys there that got extended looks again with the team, a couple that were officially signed. And again, we had another tryout after this, after the championship here. And that tryout was at our new home venue. Again, that's in Fishers, Indiana now. Now that is our new home venue. In thank you again to Clinton for that first season. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be where we are without that, but we are growing into the Fishers market now, and we have a new home venue, Best Choice Fieldhouse. We just had tryouts there. Our first ever time, having an official like team event at that venue was almost a month ago at this point. But it was the highest attendance we have ever had for any of our tryouts. Like over 20 players showed up and tried out for the team there. So definitely a huge improvement. Again, continuing to get a bigger player pool to choose from this season going into the ABA season compared to our first season. So only can imagine that the cutting block for the line when it comes down to that day where we're gonna have to make all those cuts. It's definitely gonna be a pretty high line for those guys to reach. But we have a good core that we've got for the team, and we're continuing to build around that. And we've officially announced our head coach as well. A few weeks, maybe even a month or so at this point back. And we got Coach Dobbs. She did an amazing job throughout that Gold Cup as well. So that was her first time, coaching the team, and we'll have her being the head coach for the ABA season coming up. But some of the things I've pointed out before that I will mention again that I liked when I saw uh, is the different defensive play styles and, kind of just holding guys accountable. I do like those aspects from what we saw in those games since Coach Dobbs took over. And the different defenses, especially, I think is going to be beneficial when we get into the ABA season, especially with the 3D rule in effect. If we can utilize the different defensive techniques going from a man to a zone to using the trap, I think that's going to help with that 3D rule. If we can get some turnovers in the backcourt, again, that's good, an opportunity for an additional point on each possession that we're able to pull that off on. So that could be a huge key into the success for the Instigators in season 2. Definitely saw that offensively, we were able to get stuff done. Defensively, though, I think everybody would say we kind of had some room for improvement going into this offseason and into season 2. So we got that going on. We did had some big news this past week. Let's jump to one of those big news things from this past show, I should say, not this one, but the one prior. We were in the news in a few different ways. So both printed news, we were actually on a physical newspaper. If you live in the local area of Fishers, Indiana, that newspaper was print. You could get a printed newspaper with our information on there, talking about the Instigators' move into Fishers. We're online as well on a multitude of different sites and brochures. You see there, we've got the article on that side there, as well as we were put on like a brochure type thing for the city of Fishers. You see, they have multiple teams though in the area that are expanding the sports field in Fishers, Indiana. So definitely cool to be a part of that growing market there. You see Fishers Freight. You got obviously the Instigators, Indy Fuel, and Indy Ignite. But definitely a growing sports market. Something we're really looking forward to being a part of, and hopefully we can continue to grow with that market. But I think that's also really cool to see that this market has the opportunity for multiple you know s- different sports teams, and with what we do, being the Apex Athletic Collective, obviously we've got the Hoosier State Instigators, and that's our first team. That's the team we're putting all this time and effort into right now. But obviously down the future, we hope to continue to um, build on that. So it'll maybe give us some insight as far as what we can look forward to in the future, maybe even an idea of how we can continue to grow. And again, we've got that other show that we had running, amateur night, and I think that's also another avenue we'll be continuing to pick up at some point to try to expand um, our grasp on the sports market. But definitely right now the indicators are our number one priority, and that's where all of our focus is going. Definitely as we ramp up into this second season. Again, that season's going to be coming up in October, just a couple of months away. So once that season starts up, we're definitely going to be full steam ahead and running. But definitely think we've got things set up a lot better this year going around, and you hope to continue to improve that as we go into future seasons as well. So we were on those, as well as we also were on a local news broadcast. If you didn't watch it, it was in the last Instigate Success episode. I did show you the broadcast of that local ABC station. Did a nice feature on not only the instigators but the ABA. So we had a feature on the ABA, talking about how it is now compared to where the roots started. Had a nice feature on us, the instigators. It also mentioned some of the other local teams, the Legends and the Lions. But it was pretty cool to see that they actually focused on our team, the instigators, compared to the other two teams, even though it was a broadcast segment that they had for the ABA. The one thing that really stood out to them compared to the other aspects of the other teams was that we have that fan interaction. And again, that's what we've built the AAC based upon. Obviously, if you're here watching on the Patreon, you're a part of that, and we continue to have fan involvement as much as we can. We have fans vote on a multitude of things, and that fan voter or higher tier gets exclusive access to these votes. Things like player evaluations at the end of the year. I know we've had votes in the past for the jerseys, the logo, um, a bunch of different things, and we're going to continue to expand on that. If you've got recommendations for what you would like to see as far as fan voting goes, we would definitely like to hear from you. You can, put comments if you're watching this on YouTube, on the YouTube. If you're on the Patreon, and you can also message us on any of the social medias. Put it on any of our posts. Just comment what you would like to see for us to continue to open up the doors as far as fan interaction goes, when it comes to these fan votes. We're definitely looking at expanding that. We would like to do as much as possible when it comes to that, have as much fan interaction, fan control, fan say when it comes to these things, and kind of give like an ownership to fans. That's really our whole goal with the Apex Athletic Collective. But again, you can do that any way, and you can also like message us directly on our website. We've also got the email contact form, any of that stuff, and we definitely would like to see different ways we can get fans involved. But that was a cool thing to see that we were in the news. Not only digitally as well as we were physically, and as well as the multimedia with the video and streaming TV, all that. So bunch of different ways we were in the news within the past few weeks. Pretty cool to see. It definitely helps grow our exposure in the market, and that is cool to see. To kind of help establish ourselves going into this new venue, the new market here in Fishers, and the new arena of Best Choice Fieldhouse. talking about that, we also had another big announcement last show. It was our first ever. We'll jump to that first ever player sponsorship, and that honor goes to Mike Pugh. And Mike Pugh got the first ever player sponsorship. Thank you to Evolve Sports. So this is a really cool opportunity, not only for the Instigators, but obviously Mike and Evolve Sports. Because of this sponsorship, the player sponsorship is one of the coolest sponsorships that we do offer. We do have a multitude of different sponsorship levels, and there's customized levels as well. So you can contact us to find out more about that. I'll jump into that in a little bit, but the player sponsorship, the thing that's really cool about it is because this is a player sponsorship, some of that sponsorship money does go directly to the player. So that's a little bit different than if you were just a team sponsor. A team sponsor, obviously, that's going to the team, but a player sponsor, that means the money goes to the player, and the player gets a nice bonus for that sponsorship. With that though, the sponsor, so Evolve Sports, they get a bunch of cool opportunities exclusive with Mike. So that means anytime you're going to be seeing any of these graphics here, we have a bunch of graphics throughout the season. Their logo is going to be on every graphic that we wind up putting out with Mike. So if he's nominated for, player of the week, if he winds up being an MVP, like he was in the Gold Cup and the Super Cup, he was the MVP of that championship game. All those graphics are going to have Evolve Sports on them. So that's a really cool opportunity. And obviously, on social, they're going to be on there all the time. Mike's definitely established himself as one of the key factors on the team that we saw throughout this offseason. So his role, I think, is going to continue to expand with the Instigators. You're definitely going to see that logo on a bunch of these graphics coming up. As well as that, obviously they've got, you're going to get shout outs on social media. They get tickets to games, meet and greets, photo ops with the player. So a bunch of cool things. There's more than that, but a bunch of cool things that they get with the player. And each player is able to get a player sponsorship. So that means even though we have one player sponsorship, there's still plenty of other amazing players that are out there on the Instigators available for a player sponsorship. And it's a really cool opportunity to be more involved with the team and the players as well. But definitely huge congratulations again, and shout out to Mike and Evolve Sports. Definitely a really cool thing to have in our I guess record book. This is the first official player sponsorship, but this is really cool to see, and definitely hope that we can get some more player sponsorships throughout this off season. But again, anytime you're going to see Mike on any of these graphics of all sports, that logo you see there is going to be with him. And as I mentioned, we have a multitude of sponsorships. So here's like our little graphic here. On that graphic, you can see we've got that player sponsorship. Again, each player is able to get one of the player sponsorships. We also have the official X sponsorship, so the official whatever market sponsorship of the Hoosier State Instigators. So if you want to be the official car dealership, the official streetwear, official ticket provider, etc. A bunch of different things. You can be the official whatever of the Hoosier State Instigators. That is what that X official X sponsorship is. I also have custom opportunities, like I mentioned, and you can definitely learn more. And we can continue if you're interested in building a custom sponsorship, as well as learning about more of our packages. If you contact us, again, there's a phone number listed as well as an email. Either one of those, you can definitely reach out, and we will be in touch and help get that squared away. Speaking of that, though, I'm going to jump over to our website. So, our website again, apexofsports.com, if you haven't been on there before, just to show you some of the updates that we have going on the website. So, let's jump over to that, share the screen. All right, so we are over on the website. Again, we're working on some updates, modifications here throughout the off season. We've got a link directly to that video again that I had mentioned. If you want to watch that, right on our main page here. Again, apexofsports.com, and you see we've added it looks like a couple of things here: franchises, seasons, all stars, players, and higher leads, awards and accolades. And got our banners up here. You can watch us, and that'll direct you to our YouTube. Learn more about the Instigators. Again, we've got the statistics page and records. If you're interested in getting more involved with the team, we have fill out forms here. Volunteers, players, fan voters. Again, that was that tiers that I was mentioning on the Patreon. Our shop, again, we're continuing to update the shop. And if you haven't already seen, we've got two new merchandise items here. The AB t-shirt and the Chuck Bloom t-shirt. Again, we're working on doing this for all of our players. But you see there, we do have the player graphics. We got that for AB, as well as, if we go back, have one here for Chuck as well. So pretty cool graphics we got going on there. Again, we're working on doing that for all of our players. Um, and we'll jump over to that sponsors page. So on that sponsors page, you can see we've got a little bit of an update. So these are going to be our sponsors for our upcoming season. So again, Evolve Sports, the player sponsor, first ever for Mike Pugh. We've got Stites Family, Nice Apparel, and our local State Farm rep there. So starting to build up on that page, but anybody that's interested in becoming a sponsor, all of our sponsors are going to be listed on that page. So definitely an opportunity there for you, to continue to be marketed on our website again, as well as you're going to be on our posts, and throughout the season you'll be mentioned depending on our sponsorship levels. Again, if you want to look at that graphic in more detail, that graphic is here in regards to the details for the official X sponsorship, as well as the player sponsorship. Again, that email and the phone number to contact if you're interested, right there. Or if you happen to know somebody or know a business that you think would be a good fit, you can obviously reach out to us here too. And we've got that contact form here. You can send us an email and let us know who you think may be a good fit. But anybody that's interested can click here, and it'll shoot you over to a form. You'll fill out a little form there, and it'll give you some more information in regards to sponsorships that we do have available. And the other thing I did want to point out, if you go on our site, we do have some stuff up here. So this is something we are working on. It's not quite officially announced yet, but you see there, we've got a 3-on-3 tournament that we are working on for next month. So there is a sneak peek there, and you can actually buy tickets and I believe register as well. Yeah, so you can register for that right now. $200 fee, but we'll do an official announcement, more details on that coming up. But the other thing I did want to point out is we have season tickets available. If you want to go ahead and get your season tickets for all 10 of our home games, you can go ahead and do that now. The season ticket package is only $89.99, so less than $10 a game, less than $100 for the whole season, the whole regular, or the whole regular season home games for the Instigators. Right here, you can go on the website and you can purchase the tickets there. But season ticket holders, you will get obviously access to all 10 of our home games, and you also get a couple of exclusive opportunities here. So some of those will be exclusive merchandise opportunities, as well as you see there a private meet and greet with the players and the coach. So if you're planning on going to our games, even if you're planning on going to most of those games, it's probably worth just going ahead and getting that season ticket package because of those added benefits that you'll get with it. But it's less than $10 a game, less than $100 total. But season tickets are up and available for your Hoosier State Instigators. Again, that's at Best Choice Fieldhouse, our new home venue in Fishers, Indiana. But you can go ahead and get those now. Our official schedule is not quite up yet. We'll go back to this, but the official schedule is not quite out yet. We are still working on that, still building on that. We do have, until October until we get into the regular season. You saw there, we're working on a 3-on-3 tournament. We'll probably have some exhibition games before we go into the regular season as well. So again, still more things we're working on throughout this off season. I know last season we did have that exhibition game against the Shuckers. That may be something we're working on doing again this off season before we head into the regular season. And a reminder, if you didn't remember, the Shuckers are actually joining the ABA. They are going to be an exhibition ABA team for this upcoming season. So they are actually making that jump to the ABA level. And not only is that going to be like that exhibition game that we had in the past, but that would be a good matchup for both of us, to see how we match up going into that ABA season that is coming up first for them and our second for us. But definitely working on that. And other opportunities, more time on the court that we can get going into the second season. We definitely, we've got stuff going on behind the scenes. We'll jump back onto this as well. So we've got some, if you're over on the Patreon, if you're not, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon. Again, there's the website for the Patreon. So the Patreon is going to be patreon.com/Apex Athletic Collective. But you'll get behind the scenes access to some stuff. So you got a behind the scenes picture there. Pictures cropped out obviously on here, but there's a picture there with practice. You'll get an insight on that opportunity for fan votes at the fan voter or higher tier. Again, there's multiple levels of tiers. You can check out on there. But that picture has some of the players that will be on the Instigators in this upcoming season. So you'll get exclusive insider access if you're over on the Patreon. And again, once we get into the season, we'll start streaming the games. And I know last year it was anybody that was a paid subscriber to the Patreon was getting access to the live game streams. So even if you're not able to make it out to the games, I know we've got fans all around. So obviously I'm in Florida myself, so I'm doing a lot of this stuff remotely. You can't always make it out to the games. in Indiana and the neighboring states as well when we go to those away games. But you can always join the Patreon, show your support that way, and watch the live streams here. And hopefully our live streams, the live game streams, we continue to try to improve that going into the second season. Upgraded camera, we have that. Uh, you know, the AI camera, which has been pretty impressive throughout the Gold Cup when we used it. Did the ball tracking, player tracking as well. The only time it seemed to really get kind of tricky was when there were multiple basketballs on the court. Um, Seem to throw it off sometimes if we have a fan or another player from another team on the court at the same time as the game going on if they ran onto the other side of the court. Aside from that, though, it seemed to be very impressive, and the quality of the picture it definitely seemed improved as well. But let's see how we get into this broadcasting going into the second season. Hopefully we'll have some more graphics, be able to do a little bit more of a professional style broadcast. That's something we're looking to elevate going into our second season. And hopefully we can work on our broadcasting skills as well when it comes to the commentary. I know that is something we're working on as well. But lots to look forward going into that second season. Again, only 2 months away, so it's far away, but not too far. Definitely getting close, almost there at this point. But I know a lot of us can't wait until that point. Again, remember you can join that Patreon. Subscription levels start at $1 or higher. I think you can sign up even for free, maybe. But again, the access for the tiers starts at the $1 level for the tiers. And the fan voter tier is $10 or higher, but you can join at whatever level best suits. The other thing I will say, I don't have the graphic on here to put it up. You follow us on all the socials, follow us on, subscribe to our YouTube, the Hoosier State Instigators YouTube. You'll get notifications for anytime we post any cool content. And the other thing is join our Discord. If you're not already in the Discord, it's the Apex Athletic Collective Discord, and you can chat with owners, whenever you want. If you have ideas that you would like to see, definitely shoot them our way. But again, you can just chat, hang out, talk about a bunch of different things over on the Discord, and continue to see what we got going on here. But we do have one more thing I did want to bring up for this week's episode of Instigate Success. This is the big news of the week. That's right. You see there, we got our Lawan Whitney on the screen. And congratulations to him for being drafted in the first round of the UBL Showcased Draft. Now you may be thinking, does this mean he's done with the Instigators? Not quite. So we've already spoken with him about this. We do plan on him still being a part of the Instigators for the upcoming season. But this is an amazing opportunity for Lawan Whitney, aka Swish, to continue to grow his brand, continue to uh, build his profile as a basketball player, as a professional athlete. And again, this is one of the things we have been pushing for. As part of the Instigators and the Apex Athletic Collective, we want to see our players continue to succeed and take that next step, continue to move on to higher and higher levels, and this is part of it. So pretty awesome to see that for Lawan. First round pick, eighth overall. He was drafted by the uh, team in Lafayette for the UBL showcase. So he's got those games coming up here. But awesome opportunity for Lawan. He definitely earned that. He's got a lot of our records again on that on our website. You can see all the records he's got. But he has, I know off the top of my head, most points in a game. Um, he had the highest 3-point percentage. He shot like 50% from the field, um, which is pretty crazy to think when you look at that over a season. That's about 50% on the season. High performance NBA 3-point shootings off, normally in the 30s. So that's very impressive when you think about that. Um, but we saw that he was actually, I mentioned that exhibition game between the Shuckers. That is where we found Lawan. So he's definitely continuing to rise up through the ranks. Joining obviously our team in the ABA. Now he's going to be continuing to progress now in the UBL. But again, he still does, and we still do plan on having him as part of the Instigators as well. But a fun opportunity here, and we'll have to see what the schedule winds up being for that. I'm sure we'll push for this as well. Continue to grow some exposure as well, and cheer on Lawan as he plays in the UBL showcase here. But pretty cool to see our guys continuing to rise up the ranks. Obviously, we're gonna hopefully, we continue to have more players that follow that path. And we've got more of these type of announcements coming up in the future. But yeah, so that's definitely to this week's big news if you haven't already seen it. And you can follow Lawan on Instagram if you don't already. Swish Whitney 13. And right there, you can look at that graphic and follow him. But cool to see. Definitely hoping we've got more of these types of announcements in the future. But I think that is, again, pretty much all for tonight's episode of Instigate Success. We'll jump back again just to reiterate a couple of things. Again, that sponsorship, if you or somebody you know may be interested in the sponsorship opportunities, can send them that information there. Again, that's on our website. And if you're a fan, obviously, if you want, you can go ahead and check out the website, see who our sponsors are currently, and show your support for those sponsors as well. And we'll jump back again. The Patreon, if you're not already a part of the Patreon, that's how you get exclusive access to content. Obviously, you can watch the stream here on Patreon if you aren't already. But again, every Friday night, I will be your host for Instigate Success, building an ABA franchise, the official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. And we'll be back again. Lot to see. I know my schedule might be tight the next few weeks, but we should be running, Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for Instigate Success. Until next time, though, as always, be great and instigate.